What's guys, some of this? Thank you for joining me. I'm sorry for the delay. It's been wild here. I'm still in Tokyo. I'm staying in Shibuya, and I gotta say things are looking kind of rough. Today they had a death of a famous Japanese comedian. He's been acting for years and years. He has his own show, and it's a kind of a variety show, and it's hilarious. I usually watch it. Anyways, he passed on, and now Japan's taking a harder stance on this, and they've been. I gotta say they dropped the ball. It's not that they dropped the ball. It's more that well, they have, but the biggest issue is that the current prime minister is cowardly. It feels like he's scared to make a choice before anyone tells him it's okay, and he's been listening to the WHO organization, to the World Health Organization, and unfortunately they're bought and packaged by China. They've recently made an investigation, and their investigation said that there's no proof that this virus came from China. And that's what I want to talk about, the China virus. Don't call it anything else. They don't deserve to call it anything else. It's getting bad for many reasons. Now, the virus itself, of course, it's a terrible virus. It makes you sick, pass on. People die by the hundreds, but there's other issues that are coming up. Because there's so many people in the hospital for the virus, there's a lot of people who would normally have a chance to go to the hospital, who need to go to the hospital, but they're being turned away because they risk getting sick. And there's not enough for everybody. There's never been enough for everybody. For this new epidemic and the day-to-day issues. The worst part is, the absolute worst part of it all. Not the fact that China made it, not the fact that they accidentally released it, not the fact that it's spreading around the world, is that they're lying. They could have told us how bad it was, but they're lying. They're hiding their real numbers. I think this weekend they delivered thousands of urns where you put the ashes of the deceased. Thousands upon thousands, because they needed it for all the dead bodies. But according to them, they've stopped having new death. They slowed it down. The numbers is only 1,000 or so, and it's lies. It's all complete lies. And there's been more and more proof of this. And I've been researching and looking around, and we're gonna go through some of the stories first. Italy, they risk riots. People are being arrested. I think in New York, you can get fined up to $500 for not staying indoors. And people need to go out and buy food. Some of them don't have the habit of buying food for a few weeks and storing it up. They have a habit of regularly going to the store or buying their hot meals at a restaurant. But that's not allowed anymore. People are losing their jobs because of this as well. Unemployment. There's people rioting in Italy now because there's not enough. They're not working. They've been trapped in their homes for so long. They want to go out. They want to risk getting sick to get food. And that's a hell of a decision. We know what's more important: starving to death or avoiding the virus. And it seems that the kits that China sent them were intentionally faulty. Intentional is my assumption, and it's the assumption of many. Some believe that some of the kits that were sent out were purposely useless. And now think about that. They were sent from China. So they're taking care of themselves, even though they're not telling everyone how bad it is. And they're sending the bad equipment out to kind of indebt them. Like, you're in trouble, I'm going to reach out and send you supplies that are faulty and useless. But you owe me one. The World Health Organization decided that the virus didn't start in China. But they don't describe the last time China made a huge donation to the World Health Organization. Earlier, when the virus came up, there was real estate agencies, and this is Chinese real estate agencies in the US and in Canada, that were buying up medical supplies and shipping them to China before they sounded the alarm. This is when they were still saying that it wasn't a big deal. But they had their people grassroots movement sent as much supplies as they can back to China. And some of the duties of buying supplies, medical supplies, superseded their job, which was, real estate or whatever it may have been. And this wasn't just one place; it was several places. But I haven't pulled up that story. We're going to go into that more details. Even some individuals for a thousand ancestors program or whatever it may be called in China, that they were recruiting university professors to turn over the information that they discover funded by the U.S. at the U.S. universities to China secretly. There was a few that were actually lieutenants in the Chinese army, and yet they were in the U.S. hiding that fact, working for these, to develop new cures for cancers and whatnot. The point is that we have had an enemy that hadn't made itself known until now. New York social distancing, they lost about 1,000 people in hours, and this is ridiculous. For some reason, China isn't even number one as far as many people sick. I think New York is number one. New York and Italy, one of the two, are competing for number one. Not competing, but you know how it is. And China somehow is lying, even though they have the largest population and they've been sick the longest. They're lying about their numbers. Keep that in mind. I used to have a map that I would pull up and I wanted to show you, but I haven't pulled it up because the numbers are not true. Not everybody's reporting their numbers. And if you do not show symptoms, you do not get counted in the Chinese side. Which means if you're sick but you're not coughing and you don't have a fever, but you're getting other people sick, you don't count. If you died and you weren't tested before you died, but you clearly died from corona, no, you don't count as well. You might have died from something else. They claim 2 people fainted and passed out from Parkinson's disease, and they weren't counted in the total for coronavirus. There's no need or reason for them to tell you the truth. They wish you harm. Why would they try to help you? Social distancing is an issue in New York. I've seen people attack. I saw an old lady get slapped around and she died. She was a senior citizen for being too close to someone else. The dead bodies are mounting. There's at 790, I think it's over 1,000 now, cases that have died, and they're putting the dead bodies in these refrigerated trucks because I've seen the hallways of hospitals lined up with these cadavers. But that's one huge issue. The second bigger issue is 47 million unemployment. That may hit 32% is the federal estimate. 42% or 32% of the population unemployed. And I don't know if you understand what that means. It doesn't mean that, you're going to have to cut back and dip into your savings. It means that 1/3 of the population is going to run around hungry and tired. Nothing breeds crime more than poverty. If you ever wonder why there are rough neighborhoods in the world or in the U.S., it's not because of culture. It's not because of whatever it may be. It's poverty. There's nothing else. So 32% of the people not working, struggling, they're going to do whatever it takes to stay healthy, to stay above water. Macy's furloughs 130,000, but odds are they're going to cut those jobs. Prisons are locked up. They don't have any masks, they don't have sanitizers, and they're all getting sick behind prison. What's the choice there? Let them out? Keep them in there? Let them rot? If they do come out, they're sick. What then? Yeah, people doing desperate things, and you want to release people who might have committed some desperate acts, who are sick. Boris Johnson, the British Prime Minister, is furious with China, and he believes that what the numbers they're reporting are about 1/40th of what they really are, and everybody's saying the same thing, based on the numbers, based on how quickly it spreads. The population density of China There's no way they have it under control. The whole world is sick from one man or woman. Everyone is sick. How can you expect that the epicenter of all of this somehow stayed, controlled it? Even though they did lock people into their houses, there's no way to say that they controlled it. There's no proof of this. They're not going to offer you any proof. They're not going to give you anything to show you that this is the truth. Just take their word. And now they're claiming that the U.S. was the one that brought the virus to their country. The World Health Organization is garbage. I'm at the point where those who are clearly lying shouldn't even be around anymore. Now, if China is doing this intentional, if they're withholding information, if they're purposely sending you faulty material, if they're doing their best to hide the truth so you get sicker and you don't realize how bad it really is, that's someone with the intent, acting with the intent of your harm or to harm you. I don't know how much we can take before we take drastic actions. But you should never forget what started it and what could have stopped it and how it was just brushed on the table. I'm pretty sure we're going to start deporting Chinese journalists in the U.S. But you have even CNN has people praising China for their hard work, praising them for lying to the world about their numbers, about who's sick, about what's going on. That's disgusting. We'll go more into the China details later, and I want to show you more proof. Today I want to give you some quick tips and ideas. It's been hitting hard in Tokyo, and masks are in short supplies, and sanitizer, but some alcohols, if they're high enough, you can use them as sanitizer. Soap and water is your best friend, and I would recommend you wash your hands as often as you possibly can. I have one little glove I wear whenever I have to push elevator buttons or do something with my hands outside. The trains are packed in Tokyo. What I've come to do is avoid just wearing one mask. I actually double up and I wear two masks. They're not guaranteed to help, but if I do get sick, I'm not going to spread it to anyone else. And they do offer some protection. I mean, they don't cover your eyes, so that you can still get sick that way. But they do cover your mouth, and that's some protection that helps a little. Make into a habit of reducing your chances as much as you can. Now, because I'm doubling up on masks, you're going through twice as fast masks. But I actually got a wild idea. Actually, it wasn't me. But the wild idea was brought up to me that washing the masks was not a bad choice. Now, I understand some of them have the little carbon filter in the middle, and those you can't do much with. But the regular masks, not the N95s, but the regular hospital masks that only last really 2 hours, which is enough for the commute, those can be washed. They're nothing but cloth. And I did it to a few, and they turned out okay. And I even if you feel unsafe, you wash them and you put them somewhere where they can, kind of quarantine the mask for a while, and then after a while, if they're clean and you trust them, it's better than not having anything, is what I'm trying to say. We're at the point where you need to start thinking about survival. Make what you have last and try to get more of what you need. In April, I have a strong feeling that April they're gonna go ahead and lock down Tokyo. None of these leaders have the goals to make a choice. Abe is the only one that can really lock down the country, and he doesn't have it in him. Right now, they're just suggesting that you close down bars, that you don't go to bars, but there's no law saying that you can't or you shouldn't. There's no law at all. It's just friendly reminders. In the best interest, you should close down your bars. When last weekend they had an UFC with 7,000 attendants in Osaka, and somebody decided that was okay. That was a good idea. Japan is slipping left and right. So I don't know how long I'll have internet or how long things are going to keep running. But as of right now, keep stocking up some supplies. Don't buy more than you need. Be mindful. Just buy regularly, here and there as much as you can. Not don't break the bank, but Try to keep yourself and your family well and healthy. Get what you need, the bare necessities, things that can be kept even without a fridge. Wash your mask. Use soap and water as often as you can. Carry a handkerchief so that you can press buttons and wash that and keep that clean. And don't go, once you enter a house, don't go anywhere until you wash your hands. I mean, don't touch anything until you wash your hands. I'm trying to give you the best advice I can. It's scary times. It really is. I'll always try to be here to try to give some ideas of what's going on and some tips on what I've been doing and what seems to be working. We're unique, though. People, that is. We'll find a way to pull through. Go ahead and keep your belongings safe. Don't take any unnecessary risks. It's not just you anymore. You can get anyone else sick in your proximity. There's somebody older that you care about. There's someone older that wishes you wouldn't hurt them. Just keep in mind. That's it for me today. We'll touch up on China, but as of right now, wash your hands, wash your masks. If they fall apart on you, just throw them away. It's the best tips I can. It's one of the better ideas I've heard lately, and it seems to be. It seems to check out. I asked the doctor, and he said that seems rash, but he says he understands that does work. It's just he wishes we can come up with fresh masks every 2 hours, which I see as impossible. That's it for me today. Thank you very much. Have a good night. Let's get some of this.